Hi, and welcome to your video audiobook of ADIam is Inside Out by Scott Shane. So let us begin with Chapter 1. I'm an Eden Garden Fairy. By our standards, I'm just a young female that had only matured enough to bloom. My first pair of wings started to show up a year and a half ago, and prior to my tail following the same time. My kind has helped to prepare the world for an Eden and its garden since the beginning, and where all fake kind ancestors originated in the time of Eden. Eden legends say, your fairy ancestors were late arrivals and resided but only a short time in the garden. There's only mention of one contribution during their stay. They named just a few things. My fairy ancestors didn't think your ancestors were very good at it. Fairies typically use the uniquely descriptive property when naming things. Your kind names rarely expressed any readily apparent characteristics of what was named, and never about inner traits. Thankfully, they left before naming our kind. Our nature, as Eden creatures, permeates our minds with high regard for fairness and appreciation. Its inclusive sensitivity is always active and has us aspire for fair, balanced outcomes for each other, creation, and its inhabitants. Our Eden ancestors named us fairies to celebrate our fair and inclusive natures. Your ancestors had also forgotten to name themselves before their departure, so we named them. We call your creature kind name a kind because practicing naming things was the only noteworthy thing Eden fairies witnessed them doing. Our minds are very agile and avoid complex cluttering themselves needlessly, so the names we typically create are simple, fun to say, and easy to remember. Usually fairy names insightfully, and cleverly, represent something distinctively pertinent about ourselves, but in our daily lives, names are rarely used. Eden fairies are the most intuitive of all fae kind. Our intuitive and openly inclusive nature allows everyone's presence to have special residing places in each other's hearts. So when a speaker's mind calls up someone's image, we usually sense who's being talked about, and who's being talked to without needing names. That's fortunate for me because my full Eden name is different. It's composed of 13 similarly sounding syllables rearranged in changing relationships. That makes it difficult to remember, difficult to say, and without you knowing me first. It's even more difficult to understand how each of its 13 syllables relates to defining me at so many levels. Your kind is likely imprinted with many of your ancestors' Eden traits and experiences. Legends say, other than being wingless, you look like giant, hairier versions of us, so I'm excitedly assuming you also inherited pleasures for wondrous stories of adventure, discovery, and knowledge similar to us Eden fairies. You shouldn't be surprised if elements of my story connect you to hidden feelings and impressions of the garden, of our kinds, and name a kind's presence in it. Fairies choosing to reside beyond Eden, call their generations outsiders and distinguish their outsider-born offspring from Eden-born fairies by naming them fairies. Your kind's original Eden ancestors were compelled to leave when their minds descended to become unsuitable for dwelling anywhere in Eden. Since no future generations of name a kind returned, my ancestors assumed that the giant's offspring inherited imprintings of an Eden unsuitable state of mind, so we named outsider name a kind-minded offspring descendants. I have an uneasiness about what your descended mind is, which still has a hold on you with my story. I'm excitedly hopeful you also retained enough of your Eden,